And we are talking right now at 3:15 on your Tuesday afternoon about a topic that I suspect you have heard a lot about already. That's data centers, especially here in Georgia. It has been a booming industry. If you live in many chunks of our state, you have likely seen these massive construction projects that lead to massive warehouse-sized data centers. They power the modern internet. Supporters say they bring jobs. They help developing technology and provide the backbone and the infrastructure required for this next wave of technological development. Critics have argued that they present a drain on natural resources and environmental hazards. Our Savannah Levins took a deeper look at the growing data center industry here in Georgia back in December. This is what she found.
Georgia is positioned to become a major hub for the digital infrastructure age. As the debate around the data center boom grows louder, the prevailing question is, at what cost?
Order, please! Order! This is a moral issue.
The people united!
We've covered heated meetings, protests, and town halls. Data centers at the center of it all. But let's take a 30,000-foot view. After all, data centers are needed to power all the things we need and want to do online. So what's the big deal? Let's first look at the environmental concerns. A large data center may use upwards of 200 million gallons of water each year to cool off all that tech. In 2023, federal reports put that total around 17 billion gallons. Experts say that number could double in 5 years. As for your wallets, many worry the massive amounts of electricity these centers consume could mean residents end up footing the bill when utilities inevitably need to expand. Over the summer, Georgia Power agreeing to freeze its base rates through 2028. There are also concerns the centers will take up land that could be better used for things like housing or green space. And most recently, a surge in fears of secrecy. 11 Alive Investigates obtained a copy of an NDA Google presented to commissioners in Monroe County ahead of a proposed data center build there, which would have bound the county to keep confidential information that could be pertinent to the public interest, like power and water usage.
I'm recommending that y'all do not enter into this agreement.
The commissioners this week unanimously declining to sign it, but it's opened up questions about whether these NDAs are or will be standard in other parts of the state. While residents in counties like DeKalb are largely and loudly opposing data center builds, the truth is they're already here. According to datacentermap.com, Georgia is already home to 163 data centers, 146 of those in Atlanta. Local governments now face a big challenge, deciding what rules to put in place and what questions to ask, as thousands of acres of Georgia land are eyed and prepped to house this growing need.
That's our Savannah Levins giving us the breakdown of this developing trend line in Georgia, in our economy, and in our politics, both at the state level and the local level. We are joined now by State Senator RaShaun Kemp, a Democrat of Atlanta. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, Zach. How are you?
I'm good. It's always good to talk to you. We appreciate your time, Senator. Let's start with this. You have recently introduced legislation that you have titled the Data Center Transparency Act. Can you tell us about this bill you're proposing?
Yeah, so Senate Bill 421 is a bipartisan data center bill, and it's a bill, whether you want a data center in your community or you don't, it's one that folks can support because it speaks to exactly what you all just raised in your piece there, that we have local municipalities that are going into NDAs in which these mega companies are trying to hide how much water and energy that's going to be consumed with the development of these data centers. And so it just simply says that, hey, you can have a data center, you can even go into an NDA, but you should not be holding this information to yourself behind closed doors. The community should be able to know how much water and electricity is going to be required to power these data centers.
Senator, let me ask you a question I suspect advocates of data center development might want to ask if they were a part of this conversation. What would you say to potential criticism that a bill like this could impede the ability of a private company to contract and negotiate in private with a potential entity that is going to be on the other side of a development deal?
Look, as you all just shared, this is a very tense subject that is occurring right now. And I would rather err on the side of consumer protection and informing consumers and our constituents about the impact that data centers will have than worry about trying to protect a secret water usage or the impact that, a data center is going to have on our power grid. It does not. It honestly, it levels the playing field. So one cannot argue that, well, one company is going to have a leg up over another, because it's going to be a requirement for all data centers that come into the state of Georgia from now on to disclose those energy uses in our communities.
Senator, do you think, and obviously you're keeping a close eye on this topic, you've introduced this legislation, as you heard from our Savannah Levins in that piece just a moment ago, well over 100 data centers already in place here in Georgia. I suspect more are in the development phase. Do you think the state is doing enough to regulate this growing industry here?
Absolutely not. As with AI technology, we're a little bit behind the ball. And, sometimes that's how it works with government. We're quite slow. The world continues to move when we're not in session. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to come together in a bipartisan way and address this growing concern that many folks have. Georgia is a hotbed for data center growth, and we have to be able to regulate them just like we do anything else. And understanding that there is a need. We all have our phones, and we all are going to be using AI technology at some point. So the need for data storage is going to grow, but I feel like we can do it in a sensible way. And obviously, the government has a responsibility to make sure that we're protecting consumers through the process.
Senator, let me ask you two last questions here, and they're sort of mirror images of each other, but I want to ask you them one at a time to make sure you have a chance to address what I think are the two big constituencies in this conversation when we talk about data centers. The first is the data center industry, the people who are developing these projects. To those folks who may be watching this legislation make its way through the state capitol and maybe would have some worries from their perspective, what would you want to say to them?
Look, at the end of the day, when people have more information, they're more prone to hear you out and even possibly support you come into our communities. The concern that occurs is when consumers feel like you are hiding something, that makes them more prone to fight against. And I think that the more information that we can put out, the more willing folks will be able to come to the table and have a conversation and not have those, very tense, public hearings that are occurring across the state. And, ultimately, you're going to have more attorneys recommending to local municipalities, don't sign into this because it's hiding information from our public, and nobody wants to be put in a position where it feels like we're hiding something. So I think it ultimately is a win-win situation for both data center developers and our community.
And Senator, you dovetail right into the last question I want to ask you, because obviously I asked you about responding to what I suspect would be the position of some data center operators. Want to make sure you get a chance to respond to some citizens of Georgia. As you have seen, as we have seen, data center development has been a flashpoint in some heated municipal meetings, county commission meetings, city council meetings. There are people who have deep concerns about the potential for data centers to be moving into their neck of the woods. Some of them don't want to see that happen. To somebody who is opposed to data center development in Georgia and sees this bill be introduced, what would you say to them?
We hear you. I represent Atlanta, and you all shared that the vast majority of data centers are being developed in Metro Atlanta. I represent Sandy Springs all the way down to Palmetto and Chattahoochee Hills, and in between there have been data centers that have been built. There's one literally being built 5 minutes from my home, and this is a hot topic here at the Capitol. We get pulled to the ropes on a daily basis from folks that are concerned about data centers, and I tell them the same that I tell everyone. This isn't an anti-data center bill. It's not a pro-data center bill. This is a pro-consumer bill that is just making sure you have the information that you need to make sound decisions and hold elected officials accountable. If you don't want data centers in your community, the least you will have is the information to understand the strain that they may bring to your power grid or to water usage in your community. So ultimately, the message is we hear you. And this message on this bill is we hear you in a bipartisan way in an environment in which that is not very popular now, but we definitely hear you and we're going to try to do something about it.
State Senator RaShaun Kemp, always appreciate your time. And this is a topic I am sure we will continue to discuss because you're right, data centers are a real flashpoint in our state politics, municipal politics, and national politics right now. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Zach. Have a good one.
You too.